Good morning. Welcome to the conversation on TOS TV Network, your digital first Pan-African news network, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is Adesu Sweeney.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Good morning, Adesu.
Good morning, Sagir. It's good to see you this morning.
Yeah, it is. I hope you're looking some sort of gloomy this morning.
Not necessarily.
Are you stressed?
No. It's just.
It seems like we're beginning to switch roles.
I'm just going with the day. That's just what it is.
Oh, okay. No
All right. We'll bring you the quote of the day right about now, and afterwards we're bringing you stories and happenings from across Africa.
Always remember,
this man I have creative design. We really like it, but
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
All right, we'll begin with Ivory Coast, where the former Ivory Coast president and long-term political rivals Laurent Gbagbo and Henry Konan Bedi, in a key step towards healing the country's long-running political crisis, reunited on Saturday to oppose the current head of state, Alassane Ouattara. Gbagbo, who's 76, and Bedi, 87, and Alassane, who's 79, have dominated the country's political scenes for decades, often plunging into rivalries or forging alliances.
Well, it's I think it's a replication of what's going on here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You know, we see political leaders uniting and forming a common front just to take down that political class or that political group, as a matter of fact. You know, the same thing happened with the All Progressives Congress and the PDP in 2013 or thereabouts, where a mega party was formed, you know, from an alliance between APGA, a faction of the PDP, you know, a faction, the Congress for Progressive Change, as a matter of fact, and AMPP, you know, coming together to form the APC just to, you know, contest in elections against the PDP. So this might be a replication of that, and it's always good sport, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Okay, moving to Haiti now, where the Haiti's National Police on Sunday announced that they have arrested a Haitian doctor living in Florida, United States of America, as he is suspected to be the mastermind of President Jovenel Moise's murder. TOS News reported last Wednesday how a group of unidentified people, including some speaking Spanish, shot him dead at his private residence, and his wife, Martine, suffered bullet injuries. It's a good thing that they swung into action almost immediately, you know. And the way it's looking, it seems like there was supposed to be no survivors, you know.
According to the suspects, they said that the intention wasn't to kill anyone. They just wanted to capture the person or arrest him. So the murder, whatever it was a mistake. That wasn't the intention.
Okay, the murder was a mistake.
Yes.
Well, he was shot at close range, first of all, and then second,
I was
his wife
wondering,
was
exactly
riddled with bullets. So how do you justify shooting somebody at close range and then shooting his wife as well, with her barely escaping with her life, and saying, look, we just wanted to apprehend him? By the way, how do you apprehend a president?
I'm sure they had it all figured out before,
you know, because
they went.
From the narrative I got, they were Colombian Americans.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they spoke Spanish and English at some point. So how does somebody from outside the country come into the country and try to apprehend the president of a country?
No. So the mastermind, the alleged mastermind, is Asian who lives in America, but decided to, you know, seek the service of Colombian mercenaries to help him carry out all of this, you know, act. I think that was how the story
the essence was to apprehend the president.
Exactly.
Okay, let's just watch and see how the story unfolds.
Moving away from Haiti to Nigeria, where the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that's the NDLEA, has seized a truckload of 26.15 kilograms of heroin with a value of over 6.5 billion naira at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, thereby declaring the suspected drug baron behind it wanted. This was contained in a statement by Femi Babafemi, the agency's spokesperson, who on Sunday said its officials made a seizure at the Skyway Aviation Handling Company PLC shed off the Lagos airport.
It's good that, the NDLEA, we've not seen this much action in, say, a decade or so.
A decade?
Yes.
I think they've actually, I think, was it this year or last year? I've been hearing stories of, drug baron appended
Drug
different,
busts and
yes,
all of
drug
that.
busts and all of that.
So
So
what
I
I was
think they've
saying is
actually
before 2020,
yeah,
I don't think the NDLEA has been,
effective.
active. Yeah, not effective, but in the
Proactive.
media actively.
Oh, okay. I think I get what you
with,
mean.
I think with the new, with the appointment of the new NDLEA boss, we've been seeing a lot of busts, activities from the NDLEA, nabbing criminal organizations, those responsible for trafficking of illicit drugs and all of that, both within Nigeria,
And
those
outside.
attempting to take it outside Nigeria, and those who even brought it into Nigeria. So it's an exciting time for the NDLEA, and I just hope they continue in this path. We'll go to South Africa now, where as a result of the third wave of COVID-19, President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that the country will remain on a level 4 lockdown for another 2 weeks because the highly infectious Delta variant was pushing the third wave. As things stand now, infections remain extremely high. For the last 2 weeks, the country has consistently recorded an average of nearly 20,000 daily cases. New cases, as a matter of fact. At present, the country has over 200,000 active COVID-19 cases, he said.
It's quite sad for South Africa. I think they're still trying to, curtail the prevalence of the second wave of the COVID-19 virus, and then we're having to see that even the Delta variant is having to hit them.
Huge blow.
Yeah, this hard.
Yes. One thing I would say is it's a good thing they came to reality of the dangers and how severe the Delta variant is quite early.
Yeah.
So it's helping them to, mitigate the spread and try and control it as much as possible. Like I would say always, just about 0.8% of Africans, have been vaccinated. And that's close to, I think, it's less than 200 million of close to 1.5 billion population that we have in Africa. So we are nowhere near herd immunity, as a matter of fact. So these lockdowns and minor shutting down of the economy here and there are the only few decisions that exactly that the government can take to ensure that there is no spread. We're not a rich continent, not like the United States, who are proposing the manufacture of about 1 billion doses of vaccines, reach herd immunity, and even give out some of these vaccines to third world countries. I mean, we in Africa are mostly third world, so we've not even gotten rights to even start manufacturing vaccine here in Africa.
I think that's where the solution lies, because South Africa is one of the countries that I feel like in Africa are very, very open to being vaccinated. They're willing, they really want to get vaccinated, but having to have vaccines that actually work for the variants that are prevalent in South Africa is a problem. So they have to reject these vaccines. It's expired. This one doesn't work for the variant. So it's like a back and forth with vaccination in South Africa.
At the end of everything, I think in total they got about just around 1 million, 1.5 million doses of vaccine, which is not even enough, to inoculate 20%, less than, I don't think it's even enough to inoculate 10% of the population. So looking at all of this, it remains imperative that countries who have found solutions, to tackling the COVID-19 pandemic and then bringing COVID-19 to a halt should be open to, collaborating with African countries, because at the end of the day, what affects one affects all.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. So if it is ravaging Africa, they should understand that Africa is a potential hub for business. So if they feel they should know that. But however, do we see them replicating that in action? That is what we need to do. If we don't unite together against the virus will keep us divided and ravage the entire world.
All right. Talking about COVID-19, you did hear that. So COVID-19 is real, and the third wave is looking realer than ever. So you should actually, take necessary precautions and all of that. But we're going to bring in you COVID-19 updates from across Africa. And afterwards, we're looking at front pages of Nigerian dailies this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Being a journalist means in-depth analysis that unravels hidden truths, that question the status quo and fact-checks government.
These criminal elements hiding under the cloak of surveillance contractors are the APC elements.
Do you have facts to prove that? Being a journalist means waking up every day with a burning desire for peace, equity, and justice for all citizens.
We're being told that the choice you have is to take the lesser of two evils.
It means patriotism via the prism of objectivity and accountability. It means giving my platform to the masses to discuss issues that matter to them.
Some of them, if they bring budget and the budget they lose. Some of them sleep. They're going to ask how much you are on. I have it.
Thereby shaping government policies and laws. My name is Osasu Igbenegbu, and I am the People's Journalist.
You're also watching the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television, and you can be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media channels currently showing on your screen. It is the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning, and we would start with the Daily Trust newspaper, and from the very top we see front page comments, no to anti-media bills. Underneath we see the banner headline there, press bills, no institution is above law. And that's by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. And there are two riders there, Don't Strangulate Us, and that's by BON, B-O-N, that's the Broadcast Organization of Nigeria, as well as Will Not Take It, and that's by the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Underneath the banner headline there, we see the picture of the day where the Emir of Kaduna in Kaduna State, Alhaji Alhassan Adamu, weeps while receiving sympathizers after his release by bandits yesterday. Underneath that as well, we see a couple of headlines there. Jubilation in Kajuru as bandits release Emir. Senate panel rejects $434.7 million loan request for road repair. Underneath that as well, we see cholera kills 17 as cases rise to 1,004 in Plateau. And finally, for the last headline on the Daily Trust newspaper, Nigeria to host 25% of world extremely poor by 2050.
Okay, away from the Daily Trust to the Business Day newspaper, where we have the Business Day market monitor at the top. The banner headline there says, Nigeria may miss as foreign investors eye Africa's mobile money. The rider under that headline says, as scarce PSB license flows take off. The editorial headline says the new media bill, a setback for our democracy. That's continued on page 12. And inside the Business Day, University of Oxford, FMDQ to accelerate Nigeria's startup ecosystem. And that's on page 14 of the Business Day newspaper.
We move to the Nigerian News Direct newspaper, which is the final newspaper of the newspaper segment this morning. We start from the very top. Editorial, press censorship. Catastrophe looms in returning Nigeria to reckless military days. That could be found on page 8 of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. Beside that, we see NIMASA, Deep Blue project driven by competent manpower. That could also be found on page 29 of the newspaper. And we see the banner headline there, mass surveillance. NAS allegedly approves 4.87 billion naira for NIA. Underneath, we see a couple of riders there. To monitor, track calls, WhatsApp messages. SERAP to challenge blatant violations of Nigerians' rights. Ubani Akingbolu say approval unbelievable, illegal. And we see the information blackout ad we saw yesterday, sponsored by the Nigerian Union of Journalists as well as the Nigerian Guild of Editors, calling on the National Assembly to halt all acts pertaining to the amendment of the NPC as well as the NBC Media Act. Besides that, we see alleged funds misappropriation. Judge threatens to order arrest of Stella Odua. That could be found on page 9 of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. And underneath that as well, we see 2.8 billion naira fraud. ICPC arraigns ex-Surveyor General Audu. And finally, on the Nigerian News Direct newspaper, we see Oyetola launches mass production of Adire Oshun. And that could be found on page 30 of the, page 10, I beg your pardon, of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. There are a couple of other stories on the paper you could get updated by getting a copy of the newspaper or any of the other newspapers, to keep updated. And that will be it for the newspaper segment of the conversation this morning. We'll go on a quick break now, and coming up next is the big story.
Now, in the farm say you sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel.
You're still watching the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. And you can be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TOS TV Network.com. You could also watch the conversation live at www.tostvnetwork.com, as well as watch some of our other programs and content at TOS TV Network on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the crux of the conversation this morning, which is the big story, and its focus is going to be on information blackout, the persistent call for press freedom. And this morning, to discuss this issue as well as other issues, is Mr. Liborous Oshoma, who is a legal practitioner. Mr. Liborous joins us via telephone conversation. Thank you for joining the conversation, Mr. Liborous.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. I said the conversation this morning is going to focus on information blackout and the persistent call for press freedom. So the first question I'm going to ask is, the front banners of major newspapers in Nigeria on Monday carried a picture of an individual with a sealed mouth. Now, what's your take on the position of the advertorial that the media bills being considered by federal lawmakers is geared against the right of citizens to information?
First and foremost, I do not know why this government seems to want to concentrate too much powers in the hands of the executive. I really don't understand the intendment of the legislature in all of this. I will give you examples. If you remember, the National Health Bill during the COVID issue, the National Health Bill proposed by the Speaker of the House of Rep, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. The reason why that bill was seriously opposed was the fact that it domiciled a lot of powers in the hands of the Minister for Health. Also, if you remember the social media regulation bill, it attempts to also domicile so much powers in the hands of the Minister of Information. In this case also now, you're talking about a press council bill and that is domiciled and is contrary to the provisions of freedom of association. You are, insisting that members of a particular association must belong, otherwise there are punishment penalties for it. And domicile so much powers in the hands of a Minister of Information who will act as an accused and a judge at the same time, contrary to the limitations of the freedom of speech contained in our instance laws and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. So the first thing I saw, my first impression was like, why don't these people consult when they are doing this thing? And for me, the only conclusion is that they don't consult because they have an ulterior motive, which is why everybody's saying now that there seems to be sinister moves here. Yeah. That's why you would not consult critical stakeholders, let everybody come around. Look at the electoral bill, for example. During the technical committee sitting, all stakeholders, including civil societies, were part of the process. And so that's why everybody now is aware that, look, these were not part of the issues considered. So, but for this one, who are the critical stakeholders that were part of the process at the technical stage of this bill? Nothing. Then secondly, my thoughts was, you look at the bill, and then why is government so much in a hurry to want to regulate a sector that has already taken the matter before the court of the land to say, no, this action, these steps you have taken, are antithetical or contrary to the provisions of the Constitution. Why is the House of Rep in a hurry to say, we don't want to wait for Supreme Court to do the right thing? Is that no longer the court of the land? So these are my initial thoughts when I saw all of this, and I just concluded that definitely, as people have said, there must be some ulterior motives.
Okay, but you spoke about gagging, the press. The federal government have always said that the intention is not actually to gag the press, but it's, all a matter of national security. Recently, Twitter was suspended over the same issue. Do you think they can actually, that's the federal government can actually go on doing all of this, gagging the press and all of that, in a society where we have freedom, of expression and speech as entrenched in our Constitution?
Yes, they can if you allow them. And once these laws are passed, they can use the provisions of this law to begin to gag both the media, new media, and everybody. All they just need to do is to point to a section of the law that empowers the minister to issue such directives without even, making a law. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
Recently, the minister issued a directive. This was a directive to all media houses to stop usage of Twitter.
Yeah.
Directive. This is not a law. And meanwhile, by provisions of Section 22 of the Constitution, the media, which is called the fourth realm of the estate, it is actually why it is called the fourth realm of the estate. It is supposed to be the fourth arm of government.
Yeah.
The media is empowered to hold government accountable to the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. What are these fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policies? The essence of government. The media is supposed to hold government accountable for its essence, the reason why you are alive. Somebody is supposed to check both the government, both the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And so if you now bring up a law and say, oh, look, for national security, and so there's need for us to checkmate you. Look, the courts should be the determinant of what national security is and not domicile in one man, because like we all agree, power corrupts and absolute powers can corrupt absolutely. That is why in the courts you are allowed to express, hear the other side. You, the prosecutor will come and the defense will come. You will hear both sides. But when you domicile such powers in one man, the tendency not to hear both sides will be there. So, and that's why people, I would say here that if you allow issues such as this, don't be shocked that you can be gagged tomorrow. All somebody will need to do is just to point to you to say, look, by provision of Section 3 of this Act, it passed into law, by the provisions of Section 3 of the Act, that you are hereby fined 5 million naira, 2 million naira, or 25 million naira, or your license is suspended for 1 year. So then they would have the legal backing to do it. Even without the legal backing, already via a pronouncement, Twitter has been suspended.
Yeah.
And it is very quick, it is very convenient for us to point to the Supreme Court judgment of the federal government against Asari Dokubo.
Yeah.
What the Supreme Court said in that judgment is the fact that it is the courts that should consider what amounts to national security. It shouldn't be left to the dictate of one man. That's why when the offense committed, what was at issue was the bail application of Asari Dokubo. And the court said, look, we cannot grant you bail, even though this offense, it has been argued to be bailable. But for the purpose of national security, we supersede. We can't grant you bail. But that matter, both parties were heard. But in this case, when the authority to suspend, the authority to charge, and the authority to decide the offense is domiciled in the hands of a minister, it will be difficult to hear the other side. The person would have been suspended before you would hear his side.
Yeah.
So these are the challenges. That's why people are saying, no, you can't do that. There are already extant laws that checkmate abuses. You have defamation, you have libel. So if you feel that an information that is carried against you is false, approach the same court and sue the media house for libel. I know that print media, if you even advertorials, if you take advertorials to them, they cross-check the advertorials and sometimes tell you, no, this advertorial is personal and it might be libelous.
Yes.
We would not want to go in that direction.
Yes.
Please, either give us an indemnity letter or, make deposit in the event that, it is held to be libelous because of the extant laws already in place. A situation where one man now comes, a man who feels he used the same media to libel people to get to office. And now he's scared of that same tool that he used to get to office. So he's looking for a way to checkmate it. But one thing they don't remember is that they forget that they will be out of power someday. And if they're out of power, this same instrument can be used against them if care is not taken.
All right.
That's true. Okay, so I'm going to ask, some quarters are saying that what is happening right now is a replica of what happened as far back as 1984, where the government had, as a matter of fact, controlled the Nigerian press. So what's your reaction to the comparison between now and before?
It is true. If you look at the modus operandi of these same laws, it is akin to what happened in that same 1984, where the government via decree 4 that instructed media houses that empowered government to close media houses indiscriminately. And so, if, for example, a minister feels that a publication has been made against him that he doesn't like, whether good or bad, and he has power to just say, you know what, you are liable for an offense. I do not see where government, who is a player in an industry, would also be the regulator of that industry. It is, for me, it is shocking. You can't be regulating an industry where you are also a player. And mind you, as we speak, there is already a matter before the highest court of the land challenging these same steps. So why are you in a hurry? So what it basically means is that, look, we are going back to the days that we want to forget. The days when media houses will have to go into hiding to publish. The days where people have to hide to get radio signals. And the funniest part of it is the fact that, like somebody described it this morning, that unfortunately, what this will portend would be every newspaper house will have to get clearance from the minister before publishing their news story. Every day you do your publications, you take it to the minister's office for approval, so that because he alone will determine what is libelous and what is not libelous. I think Nigerians should move beyond this. There is no example of this anywhere in the world. Now, especially that, even you saw what happened in Egypt, where journalists that were arrested, they've been cried for their release. on the basis of press freedom. We've seen that also happen in United Arab Emirates also. The press worldwide have been unanimous and united. You know, that does not mean there shouldn't be checks. But a situation where the checks are coming from people who are players in the industry and knowing the extent that government can go in Nigeria, there is no need to empower people who are already authoritarian and dictatorial. So that's basically my point here. And let us not go back to the days that we want to forget, because they are really similar.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation this morning.
Thank you,
Mr. Liborous.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
And thank you for sticking with us on the show this morning. As I always say, the conversation comes to you every weekday. That's from Monday to Friday. And that means we're going to be back here tomorrow. But you know that you should be a part of the TOS TV community before we come here tomorrow. So basically, follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And of course, subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube so you're not left out of amazing content. Also, www.tostvnetwork.com is our website. Make sure you go there and stream our content. My name is Adesu. I'll see you.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow.